What's up, vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. I have an awesome video for y'all today. Are y'all familiar with a man named Ben Rich who worked for Lockheed Martin? If you're not, today you're gonna be. Let me explain. Ben Rich was an American engineer and the second director of Lockheed Martin Skunkworks from 1975 to 1991, succeeding its founder, Kelly Johnson. Known as the father of stealth for leading the development of the F-117 Nighthawk, the first production stealth aircraft, Rich had a distinguished career working on advanced aircraft like the U-2, SR-71 Blackbird, and the F-104. After his retirement in 1991 until his death in 1995, Rich became a figure of intrigue in UFO circles due to alleged statements suggesting advanced technology and extraterrestrial connections. Claims attributed to him, such as, "We already have the means to travel among the stars," from a 1993 UCLA speech, and "There are two types of UFOs, the ones we build and the ones they build," from personal letters or talks, have fueled speculation about Lockheed's involvement in reverse engineering alien technology. However, these quotes' authenticity is debated, with critics arguing they are unverified or taken out of context, while supporters point to his role in secretive projects and comments to friends like aerospace journalist James Goodall as evidence of his beliefs. Rich's legacy remains a blend of confirmed aeronautical innovation and controversial UFO lore. Now, why do I bring this up? Because there's a new episode of Jesse Michaels about to come out with Michael Schratt, and this comes up. And in fact, you're going to want to hear this.
If you want to talk regarding Jim Goodall, I'll be happy to get him on the phone right this very second if you want to. We'll do this live.
Let's call him.
All right, do it.
This is awesome.
Hey, Jim, are you there? Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So just a quick review. I'm doing this in real time. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm with Jesse Michaels. I'm doing an interview. We were talking about John Lear. We were talking about your good friend at you know where. So could you talk about, paraphrase here, talk about what Ben Rich told you at the hospital just before he passed away?
Just before Ben Rich passed away, when I was talking to him, he told me, and this is at the end of a 45-minute conversation, he said, "Jim, we have things out in the desert," and he wasn't referring to Area 51. "We have things out in the desert that is 50 years beyond what you can comprehend." Now, I can comprehend a hell of a lot. And he said, if you've seen movies like Star Trek or Star Wars, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort.
Now, those comments are quite interesting, right? But many people have argued that they were just taken out of context or this or that, right? Like I said before. And that's, I don't know, right? Unfortunately, Ben Rich is no longer with us. He passed away in 1995. So there's really no way to get more clarification there. But some of the quotes are real, right? He did say that, but, it is about interpretation. I don't know, right? It's very interesting. I mean, it's not just the quotes. It's who Ben Rich is, right? That's what makes the quotes so alluring, right? So, look, I found some more footage of Jim Goodall talking about this and a few other people kind of giving their opinion on, how valid Ben Rich's comments were.
So I call up Ben. He's at USC Medical Center. And we talked for about 45 minutes about old friends and whatever. And these are the last words he told me. He said, "Jim, we have things out in the desert that's 50 years beyond what you can comprehend." And he knows I can comprehend a hell of a lot. And if you see movies like Star Trek or Star Wars, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort. And this goes in hand what he said at UCLA a couple of years earlier. He said, "We have things that would make George Lucas envious." I said, "Ben, you want to expand upon that?" He said, "No."
flyer in the mail from the UCLA School of Engineering on about February time frame of 1993. And in it, it had that Ben Rich would be speaking on the UCLA campus to the engineering alumni and please RSVP. I shared that notice with my friend Tom Keller, who also graduated from UCLA Engineering School about 10 years prior to myself. And Ben, being the past CEO and chairman of Lockheed Skunkworks, was like a dream come true. So I said, Tom, you won't believe I got this letter in the mail. Let's go see it. Here's the flyer. But we showed up. It was in the Alumni Center, and about 200 engineers were there, a polite little buffet, and we sat down for a presentation where Ben took us through his 40 years at Lockheed Skunkworks. Starting out with the U-2 spy plane, he did it all in slides, through the SR-71, which made him famous, all the way up through the F-117, which had been announced like 10 years prior to this date. I think it had come out in the early 80s. And so there was a 10-year gap of nothing there. And he kind of alluded to the Aurora, but he kind of joked about it, right? But when he finished his talk, there was a slide of a black disc zipping off into outer space. And he ended the talk with these words: "We now have the technology to take ET home." And the entire place busted up laughing. And Tom and I are looking at each other thinking, don't they understand what this man just said? About 25 of us ran up to see Ben, right? As normal speakers, you have people gather around the speaker at the end. And we started asking questions, polite questions at first, but then finally some lady said, "Tell us about this technology that goes to the stars." But he said, "Let me ask you something." He says, "Do you think it's possible to travel to the stars?" And the engineer took like 3 steps back, like, "Why are you asking me this question?" And he said, "Well, yeah, it'd just take a long time to get there." Ben Rich said, "No, it won't. There's an error in the equations." And we figured out what it was, and we now know how to do it. But then he abruptly looks at his watch and says, "I've got to go." And he starts walking out of the thing. And I start following him out to his car. And I said, Mr. Rich. And he turns around and looks at me like, "Who are you?" And I said, "Hi, I'm Jan Harzan." I said, I'm alumni. I really appreciate your talk. You did a great job. I said, "You said some very interesting things." I said, "I've always had a fascination with propulsion systems." I said, "Can you tell me anything about how this propulsion system works that goes to the stars?" He said, "Well, let me ask you a question. How does ESP work?" Pulled the first thing that came into my mind. I said, "I don't know. All points in space and time are connected?" He said, "That's how it works." Turned around and walked away. Now, I don't know if he was saying that my answer was right, or he was just saying how it works is how ESP works. So he wasn't definitive on that, but I sensed that my answer was probably what he was looking for. And he didn't spend any time trying to explain it to me. He just said it and left.
Plus, from the copy that I got from Wright Patterson Airport, I believe it's the identical slide presentation. He made some of the very same comments. Some of them may have been a little bit different worded, but it's generally the same type information. Now, the second one is identical to what you said. Quote, "The Air Force has just given us a contract to take ET back home." This was the last statement that Ben Rich made before the conclusion of his slide presentation. And interesting to note, the last slide that was shown on this presentation was a black flying saucer tilted at a 45-degree angle, like departing the slide. And he just popped this statement out of kind of nowhere. And, people kind of joked at it, thinking that this was just a funny way to end the presentation. I wonder, Tom, if there was more to it. It seems like there might have been an encrypted symbolic message indicating that, yes, Lockheed Skunkworks has made a propulsion system breakthrough through multiple billions of dollars of, military industrial complex black budget funding. They were able to make that breakthrough. So I think there may have been more to that statement than meets the eye.
So, all right, there we go. All right, I'm going to leave it to y'all to make up your own mind. At the end of the day, we may never know how real that is, right? We'll have to wait and see. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll put links in the description, and look forward to that episode with Jesse Michaels and Michael Schratt coming out, UFO researcher Michael Schratt. And, always look forward to Jesse's videos, right? So anyway, we'll see you on the next video, vetters. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.